Most people in this city see Ji-hoon as a god, a king of the underworld who can't be touched, but I just see a dead man sitting at table 5. I've been watching the reflection in his $2,000 scotch for exactly 4 minutes, noticing what his amateur bodyguards are too distracted to see. They are staring at the elevators, looking for a frontal assault, while a tiny red pulse dances on Ji-hoon's carotid artery. That isn't a heartbeat. It's a laser sight. The air in the room shifts as his driver, a man who has been at his side for a decade, slips out the back exit without a word. Across the street, a sniper exhales. I realize that if I don't grab this man by his silk tie in the next 3 seconds, his brains are going to be the main course that I don't scream. Instead, I lunge across the table, fisting my hand into his expensive tie and yanking him violently toward me. A split second later, the high-pitched whistle of a bullet cuts the air and the glass partition behind his head shatters into a million pieces. Ji-hoon gasps, his eyes wide with a mixture of lethal rage and shock as he finds his face inches from mine. His bodyguards instantly draw their weapons, pointing them directly at my head, shouting for me to get away from him. I don't flinch. I lean in closer and hiss into his ear, telling him to make his dog sit unless he wants the second shot to finish what the first one started. He tells me I'm just a waitress and asks why he shouldn't let them kill me right now for laying a hand on him. I tell him it's because while he was busy being a king, his loyal driver was swapping his encrypted phone for a burner. I explain that the driver isn't at the valet. He's 3 blocks away, waiting for a confirmation text that his boss is dead. The room goes silent as one of the guards reaches into Ji-hoon's pocket and pulls out a cheap phone that doesn't belong there. Ji-hoon's face pales, the realization of the betrayal hitting him harder than the bullet almost did. I calmly straighten my uniform and tell him the shooter is at 10 o'clock in the North Tower, and if they move through the kitchen now, they have 60 seconds before the perimeter is closed. Ji-hoon lets out a slow, dangerous chuckle as he adjusts his suit jacket. He tells me I'm far too observant for a waitress and notes that his driver just left a vacancy. When I tell him I'm not a driver, he steps into my space, his gaze becoming possessive. He tells me that I'm something much rarer, a witness, and in his world, witnesses either die or they belong to the boss. That I started the night hoping for a $20 tip. I ended it as the only person the most dangerous man in the city could trust. That if you're enjoying this story so far, please hit that like button, drop a comment below telling me what you think, and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. The kitchen erupts into chaos the moment we crash through the swinging doors. Chefs scatter as Ji-hoon's bodyguards form a protective circle around us, weapons drawn and eyes scanning every shadow. My heart hammers against my ribcage, but my hands remain steady as Ji-hoon grabs my wrist with surprising gentleness given the violence of the moment. "Move," he commands, his voice low and urgent. The head bodyguard, a mountain of a man with a scar running down his left cheek, leads us through the maze of steel counters and industrial ovens. I can hear shouting from the dining room, the sound of tables being overturned, glass breaking. The second shot never came, which means the sniper is either repositioning or abandoning the mission. Either way, we have seconds, not minutes. We burst into the loading dock where a black Mercedes sits idling, engine purring like a predator waiting to pounce. Ji-hoon doesn't release my wrist as he pulls me toward the vehicle. I plant my feet, resistance flaring through my body. This is the moment where I should run, disappear into the night, forget I ever saw anything. But Ji-hoon's grip tightens, not painfully, but with unmistakable intent. "Get in the car, Nia," he says, and the fact that he knows my name sends ice down my spine. Of course he knows. Men like Ji-hoon make it their business to know everything. "I saved your life," I say, my voice sharper than I intend. "That doesn't make me your property." His eyes, dark and fathomless in the dim light of the loading dock, study me with an intensity that makes my skin prickle. "No," he agrees, "but it makes you a target. The people who want me dead will assume you're working with me. They'll come for you within the hour. So really, Nia, you never had a choice." The truth of his words hits me like a physical blow. I think of my apartment, small and shabby but mine. I think of my sister Sarah, sleeping peacefully in her hospital bed 3 miles away, hooked up to machines that keep her alive, machines I can barely afford even working 3 jobs. I think of the careful invisibility I've cultivated since leaving military intelligence, the deliberate erasure of the woman I used to be. All of it, gone. Shattered like the glass partition that almost framed Ji-hoon's death that I get in the car. The interior smells of leather and expensive cologne. Ji-hoon slides in beside me, and the door closes with a heavy, final thunk. The bodyguard takes the driver's seat, and we're moving before I can process what I've just agreed to. The city blurs past the tinted windows, familiar streets becoming abstract paintings of light and shadow. How did you see it? Ji-hoon asks after several minutes of tense silence. He's removed his tie, the silk pooling in his lap like a streak of blood. There's a small cut on his cheek from flying glass, a single drop of crimson tracking down his jawline. He doesn't seem to notice. See what? I ask, though I know exactly what he means. The laser sight. The driver's betrayal. My security team missed all of it, and they're trained to see threats. You're a waitress who's worked at that restaurant for what, 3 months? Yet you read the entire assassination attempt like you were reading a menu. I lean back against the seat, exhaustion suddenly crashing over me. The adrenaline is wearing off, leaving behind the shakes I've been suppressing. I notice things, I say carefully. It's a habit. Habits like that don't come from serving overpriced pasta to businessmen, Ji-hoon counters. His hand reaches out, fingers tilting my chin, so I'm forced to meet his gaze. Who are you really, Nia? The question hangs between us, loaded with implications I'm not ready to unpack. Through the window, I see we're heading toward the waterfront, toward the expensive high-rises where men like Ji-hoon keep their fortresses. My phone buzzes in my pocket, probably my manager wondering why I disappeared in the middle of my shift. I don't reach for it. I'm someone who wants to survive, I finally answer. And right now, that apparently means sitting in a car with the most dangerous man in the city. Ji-hoon's laugh is unexpected, genuine. Most dangerous man in the city, he repeats, shaking his head. Is that what they're calling me now? His expression sobers. I run a network that exposes corruption, Nia. The people who wanted me dead tonight aren't rival gangsters. They're billionaires who don't want their crimes brought to light. I'm not a god or a king. I'm just a man trying to finish what my brother started before they killed him. The vulnerability in his voice catches me off guard. This close, I can see the exhaustion etched into the lines around his eyes, the weight he carries in the set of his shoulders. Whatever I expected from the infamous Ji-hoon, it wasn't this. Your driver, I say, changing the subject because I don't know how to respond to his honesty. Minho, how long had he been with you? 10 years, Ji-hoon replies, and now there's nothing but ice in his tone. He was at my brother's funeral. He helped me build everything from nothing. And tonight, he sold me out for what? Money? Threats? Gambling debts? I say, the pieces clicking together in my mind. I saw him 2 weeks ago at an underground casino in Songdo. He lost 80,000 in an hour. Men who lose that much that fast are either stupid or desperate. Minho didn't strike me as stupid. Ji-hoon goes very still. You were at an underground casino in Songdo? Waitresses don't exactly frequent those establishments. I realize my mistake too late. The information spilled out naturally, a habit from my old life where connecting dots was my job, my purpose, my identity. I can feel Ji-hoon's attention sharpening, his analytical mind working through the implications of what I've just revealed. I used to be military intelligence, I admit, deciding that half-truths are more dangerous than full disclosure at this point. Data analysis, pattern recognition, threat assessment. I was good at it. Too good, maybe. They asked me to falsify a report, to cover up civilian casualties that would have been politically inconvenient. I refused. They discharged me dishonorably and made sure I'd never work in intelligence again. The car pulls into an underground garage, the fluorescent lights harsh after the darkness of the city streets. Ji-hoon doesn't move to exit, his full attention fixed on me with an intensity that makes me want to squirm. But I hold his gaze, refusing to show weakness. So you took a job serving tables, he says slowly, surrounded by the kind of powerful people you use to investigate, watching, analyzing, seeing everything they think they're hiding. I needed money, I say flatly. My sister has a rare autoimmune disease. The treatments aren't covered by insurance. I work 3 jobs, and I'm still drowning. So yes, I serve tables to men who spend more on a single dinner than I make in a month. And yes, I notice things. It's not a choice. It's who I am. Something shifts in Ji-hoon's expression, a softening I didn't expect. How old is your sister? 17. I answer. She wants to be a doctor. She has a 4.0 GPA and dreams bigger than this entire city. And she's dying because I can't afford to save her. The words come out more raw than I intended. The wound I keep carefully bandaged suddenly exposed. Ji-hoon reaches out, his hand covering mine where it rests on the leather seat. The gesture is so unexpectedly tender that I almost pull away. 24 hours, he says quietly. Help me find who ordered the hit on my life. Use those skills you're trying so hard to hide. And when it's done, I'll pay for your sister's treatment. Every cent. Then you're free to go back to being invisible if that's what you want. I should be suspicious. I should demand details, contracts, guarantees. But when I look into Ji-hoon's eyes, I see something I recognize. The desperation of someone who has run out of options, who is willing to trust a stranger because he has no one else left. And if I say no, I ask, even though we both know I won't. Then you walk away, Ji-hoon says. I won't stop you. But the people who wanted me dead will assume you're my accomplice. They saw you save me. They'll come for you, and I won't be able to protect you. It's not a threat. It's a statement of fact, and that somehow makes it worse. I think of Sarah, of her smile when I visit her in the hospital, of the way she pretends she's not scared even though I can see the fear in her eyes every time the machines beep or the nurses come with another round of medications. 24 hours, I repeat, and then we're done. Ji-hoon's smile is slow, dangerous, and entirely too satisfied. Then we're done, he agrees, but I can tell he doesn't believe it any more than I do. The penthouse is exactly what I expected, all glass and steel and minimalist furniture that probably costs more than my annual salary. Floor-to-ceiling windows offer a panoramic view of the city, the lights below twinkling like fallen stars. Ji-hoon's bodyguards take up positions throughout the space, checking exits and sight lines with professional efficiency. A woman in her 50s appears from one of the side rooms, her expression stern but her eyes kind. Mr. Park, she says, and I realize I've never actually known Ji-hoon's last name. I've prepared the guest room and laid out fresh clothes. Will your guest be staying for dinner? She'll be staying for as long as necessary, Mrs. Kong, Ji-hoon replies. This is Nia. She saved my life tonight. Please ensure she has everything she needs. Mrs. Kang's eyes widen fractionally, the only sign of surprise she allows herself. Of course, sir. This way, Miss Nia. I follow her down a hallway lined with abstract art that I'm sure is original and priceless. The guest room is larger than my entire apartment, decorated in shades of cream and gold. A dress lies across the bed, simple but elegant, and I can tell just by looking that it will fit perfectly. How did he know my size? I ask before I can stop myself. Mrs. Kang's smile is knowing. Mr. Park is very observant. He notices everything. She leaves me alone, and I sink onto the edge of the bed, my legs suddenly unable to support my weight. My phone buzzes again, and this time I pull it out. 7 missed calls from my manager, 3 from my roommate, and 1 from the hospital. My blood turns to ice as I dial the hospital's number. Nia? Sarah's voice is weak but alert. They said you'd call. Are you okay? Relief floods through me so intensely I feel dizzy. I'm fine, sweetheart. Are you okay? Did something happen? No, I'm fine. But these men showed up about an hour ago. They said they're here to make sure I'm safe, that you asked them to come. Nia, what's going on? You're scaring me. I close my eyes, processing the information. Ji-hoon sent his people to protect Sarah before we even arrived at the penthouse. He anticipated my fear, my need to know she was safe, and he handled it without being asked. The gesture is simultaneously thoughtful and terrifying in its implications of how thoroughly he's already pulled me into his world. I'm handling something for work. I lie, hating how easily the deception comes. It's complicated, but those men are there to help. Don't worry, okay? I'll explain everything soon. Nia. Sarah's voice drops to a whisper. These men have guns. Visible guns. What kind of work are you doing? The kind that's going to pay for your treatment, I say before I can stop myself. Trust me, Sarah. Please. Just for 24 hours. There's a long pause. Okay, she finally says. But you better not be doing anything stupid. Would I ever do anything stupid? I ask, trying for levity. Yes, Sarah replies immediately. Constantly. Especially for me. That's what I'm worried about. We say our goodbyes, and I sit in the expensive room in my stained waitress uniform, holding a phone that connects me to the only family I have left. I should be terrified. I should be planning my escape. Instead, I stand up and head back to the main room, ready to honor my agreement. Ji-hoon is standing by the windows, his jacket discarded, his white shirt sleeves rolled up to his elbows. There's a laptop open on the glass coffee table, multiple screens displaying what looks like security footage. He doesn't turn when I enter, but I can tell he's aware of my presence. Thank you, I say quietly, for sending people to watch my sister. I protect what's mine, he replies, still not looking at me. I'm not yours. I counter, but there's no heat in the words. Not yet, Ji-hoon agrees, and now he does turn, his expression unreadable. But you saved my life, Nia. In my world, that creates a bond whether we want it or not. Come here. Let me show you what we're dealing with. I move to stand beside him, acutely aware of the heat radiating from his body, the expensive scent of his cologne mixed with something darker, more primal. On the screens, I see footage from the restaurant, the angle clearly from one of Ji-hoon's own cameras. I watch myself lunge across the table, watch the glass explode, watch the chaos that followed. I've reviewed this footage 17 times, Ji-hoon says, his voice tight, with controlled anger. Trying to see what you saw? The laser sight is visible for exactly 2.3 seconds before you moved. My trained bodyguards, men I pay extremely well to keep me alive, saw nothing. You saw everything. What? I study the screen, watching my past self move with a decisiveness that surprises even me. The laser sight alone wouldn't have been enough, I explain, falling into the familiar rhythm of analysis. Lots of things can create a red dot. But Min-ho leaving exactly when he did. The way your bodyguards were positioned to watch the wrong angles. The woman at table 2 who left her meal untouched and exited 30 seconds before the shot. All of it together painted a picture. Ji-hoon goes very still. What woman at table 2? I rewind the footage, pointing to an elegant figure in a navy dress. Her. She arrived alone, ordered the most expensive item on the menu, barely touched it. She made 3 trips to the bathroom, each time for exactly 4 minutes. The third time, she left through the back and never returned. She was coordinating something. Ji-hoon leans closer to the screen, his shoulder brushing mine. Can you identify her? Give me access to your facial recognition software in 30 minutes, and I can tell you everything from her name to her favorite coffee order. I say with more confidence than I feel. The truth is, I've been out of the intelligence game for 2 years. But some skills, once learned, never truly fade. Ji-hoon studies me for a long moment, then gestures to the laptop. Show me. Before we continue, if this story is keeping you on the edge of your seat, show some love by hitting that like button, leaving a comment with your thoughts, and subscribing to the channel so you never miss an upload. Now, let's get back to the action. 3 hours later, I have a name. Elena Kwon, Chief Legal Officer of Hansu Corporation, age 42, married with 2 children, and currently sitting on the board of 3 different multinational companies. She's powerful, connected, and according to the financial records I've managed to access through means I don't want to examine too closely, she's been receiving monthly payments from an offshore account that traces back to a shell company in the Cayman Islands. Hansu Corporation, Ji-hoon says, his voice dark with recognition. Of course it's them. You know them? I ask, looking up from the laptop where I've been working, my eyes burning from staring at screens for hours. Ji-hoon moves to a cabinet and pours himself a drink, the amber liquid catching the light. He doesn't offer me one, and I appreciate the implicit recognition that I need to stay sharp. Hansu Corporation is the reason my brother is dead, he says flatly. They run what looks like a legitimate overseas employment program, placing workers in factories and farms across Southeast Asia. In reality, it's human trafficking dressed up in corporate paperwork. My brother found evidence, started building a case to expose them. He died in what the police called a car accident 3 days before he was supposed to meet with an international prosecutor. The pieces click together in my mind with sickening clarity. And you've been continuing his work, building evidence, preparing to expose them. They found out and decided to eliminate you before you could go public. Tomorrow, Hansu Corporation is announcing a merger with a European conglomerate, Ji-hoon explains. The deal will legitimize them internationally, make them untouchable. If I expose their trafficking operation before the merger, The deal dies, and they lose billions. Elena Kwan is their head lawyer. She'd have access to everything, know all their secrets. She'd also have the most to lose if the company goes down, I add. She's not just protecting Hansu. She's protecting herself. But she's not the one making the decisions. Someone higher up ordered your death. Ji-hoon's smile is sharp and dangerous. Director Yoon, the CEO, he's the one who has everything riding on this merger. Elena is just cleaning up loose ends. I sit back, processing the implications. If Elena orchestrated the hit on you, and Min-ho was the inside man, then she's been planning this for weeks at minimum, which means she probably has contingency plans. The failed assassination won't be the end of it. As if summoned by my words, Ji-hoon's phone buzzes. He glances at the screen, and his expression darkens. It's from Min-ho's number, he says, reading the message. It says, first attempt failed. Target acquired alternative protective measures. Recommend immediate contingency protocol. They don't know he's been exposed, I realize. They think he's still loyal, still in position. Ji-hoon's eyes meet mine, and I see the calculation there, the strategic mind that's kept him alive in a world where trust is currency and betrayal is commonplace. We can use this, he says slowly. We can feed them misinformation, make them think their next attempt will succeed. Or we can set a trap. I counter, my own strategic training kicking in. Elena thinks she's cleaning up loose ends. Let's give her a loose and she can't resist trying to tie up. You, Ji-hoon says, understanding dawning. You saved me. You're a witness. In their minds, you're a liability that needs to be eliminated. The thought of making myself bait sends ice through my veins, but I force myself to think tactically. If we can draw Elena out, get her to make a move, we might be able to flip her. She's scared. People who are scared make mistakes. And if she's making monthly payments from shell companies, she's already committed crimes that could put her in prison for decades. We offer her immunity in exchange for testimony against Director Yoon. Ji-hoon is quiet for a long moment, his fingers drumming against his glass. It's dangerous, he finally says. These people don't make mistakes often, and when they do, they clean them up permanently. I won't risk your life for this. His protectiveness surprises me, given that we met mere hours ago under circumstances that should breed suspicion, not trust. You said I had a choice, I remind him. Help you for 24 hours, then go free. But there is no going free if these people think I'm a threat. The only way I survive this is if we finish it. Completely. He moves closer, and suddenly the space between us feels charged, electric. You're not just doing this to survive, he says quietly. You're doing this because you can't stand watching powerful people destroy innocent lives while hiding behind corporate structures and legal protection. It's why you refuse to falsify that report. It's why you're sitting here helping me instead of running as far and fast as you can. The accuracy of his assessment makes me uncomfortable because it exposes a truth I've been trying to ignore. Maybe I just really need the money for my sister's treatment, I say, but it sounds weak even to my own ears. Maybe. Ji-hoon agrees, but his expression says he knows better. Mrs. Kong left dinner in the kitchen. You should eat something. We have a long night ahead of us if we're going to set a proper trap. I should maintain distance. Keep this professional. Remember that in 24 hours I'm supposed to walk away from all of this. Instead, I follow him to the kitchen where Mrs. Kong has indeed left an elaborate spread of food that makes my stomach growl embarrassingly loud. We eat in comfortable silence, and I try not to think about how natural this feels, how easy it would be to let myself trust this dangerous man who sees through all my carefully constructed walls. Tell me about your sister, Ji-hoon says suddenly. What's she like? The question catches me off guard. Why do you want to know? Because the people we love reveal who we really are, he replies simply. You work 3 jobs you're overqualified for. You hide yourself away from anything that might use your real skills, all to keep her alive. That tells me more about you than any intelligence file ever could. I set down my chopsticks, considering how much to reveal. Sarah is everything I'm not, I finally say. Optimistic, kind, trusting. She believes in the inherent goodness of people, even after everything she's been through. When our parents died in a car accident 5 years ago, she could have become bitter. Instead, she decided to become a doctor so she could help other people avoid the pain we went through. Even now, hooked up to machines, barely able to walk some days, she talks about her future like it's guaranteed. Like she's going to beat this and change the world. And you're going to make sure she gets that chance, Ji-hoon says. It's not a question. I would burn this entire city down if it meant she could live. I admit, the fierceness in my voice surprising even me. I would do things that would horrify her, become someone she wouldn't recognize, sacrifice anything and everything. Which I suppose makes me not that different from you. Ji-hoon's laugh is soft, almost sad. No, we're not that different at all. My brother believed in justice, in doing things the right way. He thought if he gathered enough evidence, followed all the proper channels, the system would work. And they killed him for it. So I became what he could never be. Someone willing to operate outside the system, to fight dirty, to become the monster that hunts other monsters. Do you regret it? I ask. He considers the question seriously. I regret that it was necessary. I regret that my brother's faith in humanity was misplaced. But I don't regret the work itself. Every person I've saved from Hansu Corporation's trafficking operation, every corrupt official I've exposed, every piece of evidence I've gathered, that's my brother's legacy. I'm just the weapon he forged before he died. The rawness in his confession makes something in my chest tighten. I understand, perhaps better than anyone, the weight of carrying someone else's dreams, of reshaping yourself into what's needed rather than what you want to be. We're both ghosts, I realize, haunting the lives we could have lived if the world had been kinder. My phone buzzes, shattering the moment. It's a message from an unknown number, a photo of Sarah in her hospital bed, taken from outside her window. The caption reads simply, "Back off, or she's next." The phone slips from my suddenly nerveless fingers, clattering onto the counter. Ji-hoon catches it before it can fall to the floor, sees the image, and his expression transforms into something cold and lethal. When did your people arrive at the hospital? I ask, my voice remarkably steady despite the terror clawing at my throat. He's already pulling out his own phone, making a call. 2 hours ago. They should be. He stops, listening to whoever answered. His jaw clenches. I understand. Increase the detail. No one gets within 50 feet of her room. I don't care if they're wearing a doctor's coat or carrying flowers. No one. He ends the call and looks at me, and I see something in his eyes I haven't seen before, genuine concern. My team spotted someone taking photos from across the street. They moved to intercept, but the photographer ran. They're reviewing traffic cameras now to get an ID. They know where she is. I whisper. They know exactly how to hurt me. Nia. Ji-hoon grabs my shoulders, forcing me to look at him. Listen to me. Sarah is protected. I have 8 of my best people at that hospital right now. They will not let anything happen to her. I promise you. You can't promise that. I say, and I hate how my voice breaks. These people killed your brother. They tried to kill you. What's one more sick girl to them? Everything, Ji-hoon says fiercely. Because she's everything to you, and you're. He stops, seems to reconsider his words. You're under my protection now. Both of you. That means something in this city. Word will spread that I've claimed you, and people will think twice before making a move. Claimed me. I echo, anger flaring through the fear. I'm not a possession. That's not what I meant, Ji-hoon says, but he doesn't release my shoulders. In my world, protection is currency. When I declare someone is under my shield, it's a statement. An oath. It means anyone who harms you answers to me personally. And trust me, Nia, people fear that answer. I want to argue, to maintain my independence, but the photo of Sarah burns in my mind. She's 17 years old, sick, vulnerable, and now she's a target because I couldn't stay invisible, couldn't resist the urge to save a man I'd never met. The guilt threatens to drown me. This is my fault, I say quietly. I should have just let them kill you. Ji-hoon's expression darkens. Don't you dare, he says, his voice low and dangerous. Don't you dare regret saving my life. You did what you were trained to do, what your instincts demanded. The people who threaten your sister are evil, Nia. The responsibility for their actions lies with them, not with you. Noble words from a man who admitted to becoming a monster. I counter, but there's no real bite to it. Even monsters can recognize evil when we see it, Ji-hoon replies. And we can choose to fight it. That's what you're doing. What we're both doing. His phone rings again. He answers, listens, then looks at me with an expression I can't quite read. They identified the photographer, he says slowly. It's Elena Kwan's personal assistant. A woman named Sujin Park. She's been with Elena for 6 years. Personal assistant, I repeat, my analytical mind engaging despite my emotional turmoil. Which means she has access to Elena's schedule, her communications, probably her personal devices. If Elena is coordinating the cleanup operation, Soo-jin would be the one handling logistics. And now she's directly threatening your sister, Ji-hoon adds. Which means Elena knows about you, knows you're here with me, and is trying to scare you off. Or she's trying to draw me out. I counter, the pieces clicking together. Think about it. I'm a witness, yes, but I'm also an unknown quantity. They don't know who I am, what I'm capable of, whether I'm working with you or just collateral damage. By threatening Sarah, they're testing me. If I run, I'm weak. If I stay, I'm a threat that needs to be eliminated. Ji-hoon's eyes gleam with approval and something darker, more possessive. So we give them what they expect. We make you look vulnerable, scared, desperate to protect your sister. We use you as bait to draw out Soo-jin, and through her, Elena. And when we have Elena, I ask, we make her understand that the only way she survives this is by testifying against Director Yoon. We offer her immunity, protection, a new life. Or we offer her the alternative, going down with the ship when I expose everything Hansu Corporation has done. It's ruthless, calculated, and exactly the kind of strategy that makes Ji-hoon so dangerous. It's also our best chance of ending this before more people die. I think of Sarah, of the life she deserves to live, the dream she deserves to chase. I think of Ji-hoon's brother, of all the victims of Hansu Corporation's trafficking operation, of the countless others who suffer because powerful people believe they're above consequences. We need to move fast. I say, decision crystallizing. The merger announcement is tomorrow. If we're going to stop it, we need Elena's testimony, and we need it in time to go public before the deal closes. Agreed, Ji-hoon says. I'll have my team set up a meeting with Elena. We'll make it look like I'm offering her a deal to betray Director Yoon, like I'm desperate and running scared after the assassination attempt. She'll think she has the upper hand. And I'll be there, I add. The vulnerable waitress who saved your life. The witness she needs to eliminate. She won't be able to resist the opportunity. Ji-hoon shakes his head immediately. Absolutely not. It's too dangerous. If Elena suspects a trap, she'll have you killed on sight. Which is why we make it convincing, I argue. You said it yourself. I'm an unknown quantity. Elena will want to assess me, figure out what I know, whether I'm a threat. That gives us an opening. Besides, do you really think I'm going to sit here safely while my sister's life hangs in the balance? I'm not built that way. We stare at each other, wills clashing in the charged silence. Finally, Ji-hoon exhales sharply. You're infuriating, he says, but there's a hint of admiration in his voice. You're controlling, I counter. Protective, he corrects. There's a difference. Is there? I ask, genuinely curious. Because from where I'm standing, they look remarkably similar. Ji-hoon steps closer, close enough that I can feel the heat of his body, see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes. Protection means I would die before I let anything happen to you, he says softly. Control means I would tell you what to do and expect obedience. I'm not asking for obedience, Nia. I'm asking you to trust that I have your best interests at heart. The intensity of his gaze makes my breath catch. You barely know me, I whisper. I know enough, he replies. I know you're brilliant, fearless, and willing to sacrifice everything for the people you love. I know you see the world the way I do, in patterns and threats and opportunities. I know that when you saved my life tonight, something fundamental shifted in my universe, and I can't explain it, and I'm not sure I want to. But I know it happened. I should step back. I should maintain professional distance. Instead, I find myself leaning into his space, drawn by something I don't fully understand. This is insane, I say. We met 4 hours ago. You're a crime lord. I'm a former intelligence analyst serving tables to survive. This entire situation is impossible. I've built my entire empire on impossible things, Ji-hoon says, and then his hand is cupping my face, his thumb tracing my cheekbone with a tenderness that contradicts everything I know about him. One more impossibility won't hurt. He's going to kiss me. I can see the intent in his eyes, feel the magnetic pull between us. And God help me, I want him to. But my phone buzzes again, shattering the moment. This time it's Sarah, and I answer immediately. Nia? Her voice is thin, frightened. These men, they're scaring me. One of them has a gun bigger than my arm. What's happening? Please tell me the truth. I close my eyes, guilt and love warring in my chest. I'm handling something dangerous, I admit, because I owe her honesty even when it terrifies her. Something that might finally give us the money for your treatment, for everything you need. But it means you need protection for a little while. Those men are there to keep you safe. I promise you, I'm going to fix this. Nia, no. Sarah's voice cracks. I don't want you to do something dangerous for me. I don't want money if it means you get hurt. Please, whatever this is, walk away. We'll figure something else out. The tears I've been holding back threaten to spill. It's too late to walk away, baby. I'm already in it. But I'm not alone, and I'm going to be careful. Just trust me, okay? Trust that I know what I'm doing. I always trust you, Sarah whispers. You're the bravest person I know. But Nia, come back to me. Whatever happens, come back. I will. I promise, even though I have no idea if it's a promise I can keep. I love you. I love you too. Be safe. I end the call and find Ji-hoon watching me with an expression that's equal parts respect and sorrow. She sounds like she really is everything you described, he says quietly. She is, I confirm. Which is why we're going to end this tonight. What's your plan for approaching Elena? Ji-hoon pulls out his phone, composing a message as he speaks. I'll reach out through a mutual contact, someone Elena trusts. I'll say I want to discuss a business arrangement, that the assassination attempt has made me reconsider my position. I'll suggest we meet at the art gallery opening tomorrow evening. Public venue, lots of witnesses, she'll feel safe. She'll bring Soo-jin, probably some security. We'll bring enough people to make her think we're serious about protection, but not enough to seem threatening. And I'll be there as what? Your date. I ask with more sarcasm than the situation probably warrants. Ji-hoon's smile is slow and devastating. My partner, he corrects. In every sense that matters. Elena will see you, recognize you from the restaurant, and she won't be able to resist the opportunity to assess the threat you represent. That's when we make our move. What if she just tries to kill us both right there? I ask practically. She won't, Ji-hoon says with confidence. Elena is smart, careful. She'll want to understand the situation first, gather intelligence. She'll approach you, probably try to intimidate you or buy you off. That's when you play the role of the terrified civilian who's in over her head. Make her think you're weak, that you'd betray me for the right price or the right threat. The strategy is sound, but it requires me to be convincing as someone I'm not. I haven't been scared and weak since I was 18 years old, I point out. Then think of Sarah, Ji-hoon says simply. Think of how you felt when you saw that photo. That fear, that desperation, that's what Elena needs to see. Can you do that? I consider the question seriously. Can I weaponize my love for my sister? Turn my genuine terror into a tactical advantage? The answer surprises me with its simplicity. Yes, I say. I can do that. Good. Ji-hoon sends the message, then sets his phone down. The gallery opening starts at 7 tomorrow evening. That gives us 20 hours to prepare. You should rest. We have a guest room ready for you. I won't be able to sleep, I admit. My brain doesn't shut off when there's an active threat. Neither does mine, Ji-hoon says. So we'll stay up together. I'll show you the evidence I've gathered on Hansu Corporation. You can help me organize it for maximum impact when we go public. And we can plan exactly how this is going to play out tomorrow night. We spend the next 6 hours buried in documentation that turns my stomach. Videos of workers being loaded onto ships under false pretenses. Contracts that are essentially slavery dressed up in corporate language. Financial records showing millions being funneled through shell companies. Testimony from the few victims who managed to escape. Ji-hoon has been meticulous in his investigation, building a case that would bring down not just Hansu Corporation, but dozens of complicit companies and government officials. Your brother would be proud, I say as dawn begins to lighten the sky outside the penthouse windows. This is extraordinary work. Ji-hoon doesn't look up from the laptop. My brother would be alive if I'd helped him when he first found evidence instead of telling him to drop it, that it was too dangerous. I was protecting my own business interests back then, worried about drawing too much attention. By the time I realized he was right, that this was bigger than my comfort or safety, it was too late. So no, I don't think he'd be proud. I think he'd be disappointed it took his death to make me care. The self-recrimination in his voice is raw, painful to hear. I reach over and close his laptop, forcing him to look at me. Guilt is a useless emotion, I say firmly. I know because I've carried enough of it to sink a battleship. You can't change the past. You can only honor it by making different choices now. And that's what you're doing. Is that what you tell yourself? Ji-hoon asks. When you think about the report you refused to falsify, the career you lost, the life you could have had. Every single day, I admit. And most days I still believe I made the right choice. The days I don't, I look at Sarah and remember that some things are worth any price. Ji-hoon reaches out, his fingers threading through mine in a gesture that feels both intimate and inevitable. We're quite a pair, he says softly. Two people trying to atone for past failures by taking on impossible fights. Maybe that's why this works, I suggest. We understand each other's demons. Or maybe, Ji-hoon counters, his thumb tracing circles on the back of my hand. We recognize in each other the person we wish we could be. You see me as someone fighting for justice instead of a criminal. I see you as someone embracing their power instead of hiding from it. The observation is so accurate it steals my breath. I'm terrified, I confess. Of tonight, of Elena, of what happens if we fail. But I'm also terrified of what happens if we succeed. Because success means I can't go back to being invisible. Success means I have to decide who I really am and what I want to do with these skills I've been pretending don't exist. You don't have to decide right now, Ji-hoon says. Right now, you just have to survive the next 24 hours. Everything else can wait. But I shake my head. No, it can't. Because in 14 hours, I'm walking into a room with a woman who orchestrates murders, and I need to be fully committed to this path. No hesitation, no second-guessing. So I'm deciding now. I stand up, pulling my hand from his, needing the physical distance to think clearly. If we survive tonight, if we take down Hansu Corporation and save Sarah, and somehow make it out alive, I'm not going back to serving tables. I'm not going to waste these skills anymore. I'm going to use them the way they were meant to be used. To do what? Ji-hoon asks, standing as well, his full attention fixed on me. To finish what you and your brother started, I say, the decision crystallizing as I speak. To find the Elena Kwons and Director Yoons of the world and bring them down. To be the weapon that protects people who can't protect themselves. With you, if you'll have me. As actual partners, not just for 24 hours. The smile that crosses Ji-hoon's face is transformative, lighting up features that are usually so carefully controlled. I was hoping you'd say that, he admits. Because the truth is, Nia, I don't want to let you go. Not after 24 hours, not ever. You're the first person since my brother died who sees the world the way I do, who understands why this work matters. You're brilliant and fierce, and you saved my life. And I'm selfish enough to want to keep you close for all of those reasons, and a dozen others I haven't fully articulated yet. That's not a business partnership you're describing. I point out, my heart hammering against my ribs. No, Ji-hoon agrees, moving closer. It's not. It's something more complicated, more dangerous, and infinitely more interesting. If you're willing, I should be cautious. I should protect my heart the way I've learned to protect everything else. But I'm so tired of hiding, of being less than I am, of pretending I don't want things I've denied myself for years. So instead of stepping back, I close the distance between us and kiss him. It's not gentle. It's fierce and desperate and charged with all the tension that's been building since the moment I grabbed his tie and pulled him out of a bullet's path. Ji-hoon responds immediately, his arms wrapping around me, pulling me closer as the kiss deepens into something that feels like a promise and a claiming all at once. When we finally break apart, both breathing hard, Ji-hoon rests his forehead against mine. We should probably talk about workplace boundaries and professional conduct, he says, but there's laughter in his voice. Probably, I agree. But I've never been very good at following rules. I've noticed, Ji-hoon says, and then he's kissing me again. And for a few precious moments, the danger and the fear and the impossible situation we're in all fade away, leaving just this. Two damaged people finding something unexpected and necessary in each other. Mrs. Kang's discreet cough from the doorway breaks us apart. I apologize for the interruption, she says, her expression carefully neutral. But there's a call for you, Mr. Park. The gentleman says it's urgent regarding tonight's arrangements. Ji-hoon straightens, instantly shifting back into the focused strategist. Thank you, Mrs. Kang. I'll take it in my office. He looks at me. Get some rest if you can. We have a long night ahead, and I need you sharp. You too, I say, then add more softly, be careful. His smile is quick and warm. Always. I watch him go, then turn to find Mrs. Kong studying me with knowing eyes. He's different with you, she observes. I've worked for Mr. Park for 5 years, and I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looks at you. We just met, I protest weakly. Some connections transcend time, Mrs. Kong says with a small smile. My late husband and I knew we'd marry within an hour of meeting. When it's right, it's right. Now come. Let me show you how to work the shower in your room. The water pressure takes some getting used to. I follow her, my mind spinning. 12 hours ago, I was a waitress hoping to earn enough tips to cover Sarah's medication. Now I'm planning to take down a multinational corporation, kissing a crime lord, and apparently entering into some kind of permanent partnership that I don't fully understand but desperately want. The shower is as luxurious as everything else in the penthouse, and I stand under water hot enough to scald, trying to process everything that's happened. When I finally emerge, wrapped in a robe that probably costs more than my monthly rent, I find a dress laid out on the bed. It's deep emerald green, elegant but understated, with lines that will allow me to move if I need to. There are shoes as well, low heels that won't slow me down, and jewelry that looks expensive but isn't ostentatious. Mrs. Kong has thought of everything. I try to sleep, but my mind won't quiet. I think about Sarah, about the future I'm promising her with money I don't have yet, with safety I can't guarantee. I think about Ji-hoon, about the impossible connection that's formed between us, about whether I'm making the biggest mistake of my life or the best decision. I think about Elena Kwan and Director Yoon and all the people they've hurt, and I feel something I haven't felt in 2 years, purpose. When evening arrives, I'm as ready as I'll ever be. The dress fits perfectly, the shoes are comfortable, and when I look in the mirror, I see someone I barely recognize. Confident, powerful, dangerous. Not a waitress. Not a former analyst in hiding. Something new, something I'm still becoming. Ji-hoon is waiting in the main room, devastating in a dark suit that emphasizes his lean strength. His eyes widen when he sees me, and the heat in his gaze makes my skin flush. You look incredible, he says simply. You clean up pretty well yourself. I reply, trying for lightness even though my stomach is churning with nerves. He crosses to me, pulling a small box from his pocket. Inside is a delicate necklace, beautiful but functional. It's a wire, he explains. My team will be listening to everything. If you're in trouble, say the word mercy. They'll extract you immediately. I let him fasten it around my neck, hyper-aware of his fingers brushing against my skin. What about you? I ask. What's your safe word? I don't have one, Ji-hoon says. I'm not leaving until this is finished. Stubborn, I accuse. Determined, he corrects, echoing our earlier exchange. Then his expression grows serious. Nia, if anything goes wrong tonight, if you have to choose between the mission and your safety, choose safety. Always. The evidence will still exist tomorrow. You won't. Same goes for you. I counter. Your brother's work matters, but you matter too. Don't be a martyr. Deal? Ji-hoon agrees, but I can see in his eyes that he's lying. If it comes down to it, he'll sacrifice himself to complete the mission. It's who he is, what he's built himself to be. It's also, I realize with startling clarity, exactly what I would do. We arrive at the gallery in separate cars, maintaining the illusion that this is a business meeting rather than a trap. The space is filled with people in expensive clothes, drinking expensive wine, pretending to care about the abstract art on the walls. I spot Elena immediately. She's holding court near a sculpture, her posture relaxed but her eyes constantly scanning the room. Ji-hoon enters through the main entrance, his bodyguards flanking him. I see Elena's expression shift, calculating and cold. She says something to the woman beside her, Soo-jin, I realize, recognizing her from the photos, and then begins to make her way toward him. This is it. The moment everything either works or falls apart. I take a breath, channel every ounce of fear I feel for Sarah, and step into my role as the terrified witness who's in over her head. Elena's eyes find me almost immediately, and her smile is sharp as a knife. The game has begun. By the time the night ends, either Hansu Corporation will fall, or we will. There's no middle ground, no safe retreat. We've committed fully to this path, and now we have to see it through. I think of Sarah, of her dreams and her courage. I think of Ji-hoon's brother, of all the victims waiting for justice. I think of the woman I used to be and the woman I'm becoming. And then I walk forward to meet my enemy, ready to risk everything for a chance at something better. Because that's what love does. It makes you brave enough to fight impossible battles. And that's what justice requires. People willing to stand up even when standing up means putting themselves in the line of fire. Tonight, I'm both a woman fighting for love and justice, with a partner who understands both the price and the necessity. Together, we're going to change everything. Or die trying. The truth is, I wouldn't have it any other way. In the end, this story isn't just about taking down corruption or saving my sister or finding unexpected love in the darkest places. It's about the choice we all face when confronted with evil. Do we look away to protect ourselves, or do we step forward even knowing the cost? It's about recognizing that sometimes the most dangerous thing we can do is also the most necessary. It's about understanding that real strength isn't never being afraid. It's being terrified and acting anyway. Ji-hoon taught me that when you've lost everything, you're finally free to risk everything. Sarah taught me that hope isn't naive, it's revolutionary. And together, they taught me that the life I thought I wanted, small, safe, invisible, was never the life I was meant to live. So here I stand, in an expensive dress and borrowed courage, about to walk into danger with a man I barely know but somehow trust completely. Here I stand, ready to honor the skills I tried so hard to bury, to use my ability to see patterns and connections and threats to protect instead of just survive. Here I stand, no longer hiding, no longer afraid of being seen. Because the truth is, some of us were built to be weapons. And the only question that really matters is, what are we fighting for? For me, the answer is simple. For love. For justice. For the chance to look my sister in the eye and tell her that the world is hard and cruel and unfair, but there are still people willing to fight to make it better. Thank you for staying with Nia and Ji-hoon through this journey. If this story moved you, reminded you of your own strength, or inspired you to stand up for what's right even when it's hard, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And remember, we all have the power to be witnesses to injustice, and we all have the choice to act. What will you choose? Until next time, stay brave, stay fierce, and never underestimate the power of seeing clearly in a world that prefers we stay blind.